This term, for example, in the intro class, I'm having everybody focus on a geologically related controversy in their hometown or in their state or wherever they're from. Something where there's a little bit of tension between the science and the political and the economic realities, whether it's coping with sea level rise if they live on the coasts, or frac sand mining in small towns in Wisconsin, or groundwater issues almost anywhere.
Well, I teach a class called The History of Early Music Revivals, which studies when and why past performers have played music from 800 to 1800 and looking into the political motivations and ideological motivations and aesthetic motivations that performers have brought to this repertoire. And so as we dig in the classroom and look at primary sources and listen to recordings, and the students undertake a project that they do all term long where they choose a piece of early music that they're going to perform for us at the end of term. They investigate its history, why it was revived, when it was revived, by whom.
I teach a medicinal chemistry class once in a while that we really think hard, not just about sort of this molecule cures this, but the ways the market affects how we think about drug development. I have colleagues that teach a chemistry of art class, so we can look at, for instance, ancient coins and put them under the spectrometer and see whether they're fakes or real.
Students here are doing so many interesting and fantastic film projects. From an independent study on horror, women in horror actually, women in 20th century horror, to a student's doing, she's a filmmaker and she's doing a documentary about her community, home community in Haiti. There's a student creating a web base for international students to understand the small liberal arts experience in the US.
In my lab, we study kids and adolescents. We obviously have to go out into the community to find participants for our research, but we also are trying to help people in the community. So it's a really nice experience, and I have a lot of students who end up doing internships in the community and do other community engaged learning projects.
Learning to speak a language is like learning to play an instrument or like learning a very difficult athletic event. You need a lot of one-on-one training, one-on-one attention, and we can do that here because the classes are small. I can take the time, spend time with my students. Every week I require my students to meet with me one-on-one, and we usually just take a walk and speak Russian.
In my History of the Book class, that's really a class that's encouraging students to think about books in a way that they haven't before, to not simply look past the material object to the text that they're reading, but to stop and think about how books work as technologies, what sorts of things they can do, how they've changed over time, and how that's maybe changed the nature of literature, of reading.
My newest course is on called Hollywood Goes to High School. And I use movies, Hollywood movies, mostly from the United States, but some foreign films that are set in high schools. And I use those films as a way of talking about teachers and teaching, but primarily I use those films as a way of getting an understanding of American society.
Take my students to museums and we talk about freshman studies works and how their intellectual life functions in the studio as well, functions in their musical lives. We don't turn off our brains when we play. In fact, we need to become even more engaged. So it's to be a whole musician, we have to use all aspects of ourselves.
I have a trombonist and I'm trying to encourage him. He also can rap, so I want him to rap on the trombone, using the trombone as his voice rather than his own personal voice. So is that an appreciation of a different kind of music for me? Yes, because I don't listen to rap, I do now. Just downloaded something off of iTunes in his lesson last week so we could both listen to it at the same time. And I said, why don't you go ahead and rap through your trombone? Well, I can't do that. He will. By the end of the term, he's going to do that.